Good evening, everybody. We've had a nice long summer break and it was a really nice reprieve. Not that anything stopped from happening, but we got a little downtime. Missed a couple meetings. This weekend is the fire chief convention. And I also wanted to mention that it's Dale's wedding anniversary today. So thanks for being here, Dale. That's
Thanks, Dale.
you know.
Woo!
Thanks, Charlotte.
Okay, so today is the regular council meeting for August 22nd, 2023. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda. Second that.
I have to amend the agenda.
Well, it should have been,
What are we doing that for?
Never mind. Number 4.
You're right, something?
We're good.
no. It's all good. Did I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hatcher. Thank you, Councillor Paquette.
Thanks.
Okay. I need a motion to adopt the draft minutes from the committee of the whole meeting of July 4th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to adopt the draft minutes from July 4th, 2020.
Thank you,
I'll
Councillor.
second that.
Thank you, Councillor Hatcher. Any questions or comments?
I just have one comment and it's motion 2315-125. I'm listed as having moved that. I don't remember who did, but I was chairing that meeting, so I don't think it would have been me.
So which motion was it again? Councillor?
Sorry, 2315-125. It was about the enforcement of the general maintenance bylaw.
Okay,
Oh, sorry, regarding the admin report 2309 trailer demolition. Page 3.
so moved by Councillor Hatcher, but you were chairing, so
So it was probably, I mean, it's not one of these three.
I have to refer to our notes.
I'm sure I had it written down on here. Last meeting.
No, I think I put my name in there, doesn't it?
Councillor Slager, yeah. Okay. Any more questions from the draft minutes of the committee of the whole?
Not for me.
Councillor Slager?
No.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $1,026,683.97. This 3 months worth of
I'll
payables.
make a motion to pay the open payables in the mentioned amount.
I will second.
You have a couple questions.
Thank you, Councillor Hatcher. Thank you, Councillor Burris. Any questions or comments?
So there is, where's the second one? There's an entry for the same person in the same month with the same amount, and I was just curious if that was an error or if it's two different properties. It's 61395 on the July payables, and then the number's cut off, but it ends in something 46 on the July, August payables.
Those numbers are correct. Yeah. That's the rent, and then it's not, we get receivable from our staff member. It's in.
And then I had a question about 61417 on the July payables, the DMO lending
Operation
61417.
17
$5,152.
lending operation service center.
Yeah, that is, they overpaid property tax for mortgages. So we had to reimburse them for their, it's not too often that the bank will actually pay more.
Just for everybody's reference, maybe I'll just go over a couple of the giant payables that were made. Okay. So I have in front of me the June 30th to July 21st. And in that is the Spitz Incorporated, which was our projector for the Northern Light Center. That was $195,000. BDO was $24,000 or $23,500 for our audit. Superior Roofing for, I believe it was the Ski Hill and the rest of the rec center.
That is the rec center.
Okay, so it was $159,374. Ski Hill was not done yet. Okay, and then from July 22nd to August 16th, I have, let's see. Out of the ordinary. $20,000 for, a contract for Sunby Electric to do, what was that one?
That's the lighting of the station.
Okay. And then $144,184, that was the upgrades to our wells.
That's the new pumps in the well flushing and service.
Okay. And Canada Flooring was 80,000. And that was the bowling alley upgrades, correct? And one more month. Oh no, that's it. Just the two. So, busy summer, spent a lot of money on good things, protecting our assets. So no more questions, all in favor for the payables? Good. All right, next on our agenda, we have Elevator Yukon, Jordan Stackhouse with our Rapid Housing Initiative. Hi, Jordan.
Sorry, your worship. Thanks. I hit the wrong button. Thanks. Nice to see you guys after your summer recess. Still feeling very summery. Don't feel like school should be back in today. Don't feel like we should be at a council meeting tonight, but here we are. I'm just here to update you, not actually on the Rapid Housing Initiative, but the Housing Accelerator Fund. Those are two very similarly named, but different different programs. No, I think that's what it says in the agenda. So it's all
Yeah,
good.
sorry.
So last time we spoke with council maybe a month and a half ago or something like that. Council provided Cam and I some direction to go ahead and get the Housing Accelerator Fund application in place. And I'm just here to review that with you guys tonight. One part of the one of the requirements for the application is a council resolution. So I'm hoping that if you guys feel comfortable, you can make that resolution today, giving Cam the direction to submit the application, and then we'll have that resolution as well for CMHC. Due to the wildfires, so the actual application deadline date was August 19th. And due to the wildfires in the Northwest Territories and other places, they've extended the deadline to September 29th. So your guys' application is basically done. We're really just like refining it right now, and I guess just using like a bit of this extra time to just make it as best we can. Yeah, the process very much started is something different than it ended up. And if you guys have ever are familiar with federal funding programs, you can just kind of imagine how that went. So we really, I think, like the changes you'll see tonight versus last time, we really needed to come into alignment with the Housing Accelerator Fund program and what they were wanting to see from applicants to get funds. So I'll just cover really quickly the initiatives themselves, because those have changed since the last time we've spoken. And then I believe Cam circulated it's one part of our application, which is an Excel spreadsheet that provides kind of the breakdown of funding we'd be eligible for and that kind of thing. And I'll cover both those things tonight and take any questions. I think I can share my screen. So I'll just share this with you. Cool. So this is the Housing Accelerator Fund portal. So this is what your application kind of looks like. You can click on all these and brings up all sorts of crazy stuff that you can edit. And we had to like fill all these out, and it took a good while. So each of these initiatives you see have like a lot of detail in them, but we're not going to go over all the details. I'll just cover the main points here. So it's a minimum of 5 initiatives, which is what we have here today. The first one I'll talk about is the grant program to build infill dwelling units. So we had to use that terminology infill to align with the Housing Accelerator Fund guidelines. But this is essentially council's idea to create a grant program for people to build dwelling units within the community. So that's that program. I'm gonna tell you the estimated budgets off the top of my head, and I could be slightly wrong, but I'll go for it. I believe this one is $500,000 we're asking for this program. So roughly 50,000 for administrative costs, and then 450 to actually fund the program. Another one which you guys wouldn't have seen, but is along the same lines. It's an incentive program for the conversion of non-residential properties to residential. So this project is really about looking at what we have in the community for non-conforming, underutilized, abandoned properties, and creating an incentive program to get those cleaned up, basically bring them into compliance with the zoning bylaw, and where possible to convert uses to residential from non-residential. The good old zoning bylaw, which I know you guys love. This one was here the first time we discussed it. But again, the focus here is on missing middle housing. Missing middle is basically, you guys can think of that as like secondary suites, carriage houses, multifamily, and like accessory dwellings, I think. So it's really, you guys can think about it, but like properties that are already zoned that maybe want to build like a secondary suite, like within the primary dwelling unit, or say a carriage house on their property. So that's what we'll look at the zoning bylaw, and we'll just have a good eye to incenting those kind of units, as well as just looking at the zoning bylaw from like a overall pro-development lens, and just making sure we're using like the latest and greatest practices and that kind of thing to incentivize these units. So CMHC balked at this one a little bit. It might change. I won't get into the reasons for that, but it's creating an action plan that addresses community barriers to lending and mortgages. So this is really getting at that that issue that like in many cases, people can't get mortgages in Watson Lake. If they do qualify for mortgages, sometimes it's at a higher rate. The charter banks that most people get mortgages from aren't really bending over backwards to figure out how they can improve that situation in Watson Lake. And so the town wanted to just take some action in that regard and kind of look into it. CMHC has come back to me a couple times saying that this one doesn't kind of fit with their parameters. And so this was one that I'm still discussing with them, and luckily we have all this extra time now, so we can figure out if that's going to be a fit or not. There was another one in here that was around creating an action plan to improve like marketing of real estate. They definitely didn't like that one. They said that was a no. And so what we did is Cam and I spoke, and we identified a couple potential actions from the official community plan that would be a good fit for this program. And basically what we've come up with is, this is from your guys' OCP. It says develop and adopt a policy that allows private sector to undertake the extension of municipal services. So basically that means like private sector being able to extend municipal services, but we're going to really like, the benefit of this is what Cam and I discussed, is creating a servicing standards policy, or like a manual, so that when people work on or choose to work on the town's infrastructure, that they already understand the specifications and what you guys require to undertake that work. And it's going to really streamline and help out developers when they're quoting projects, costing projects. And another thing we wanted to look at in here, what I put forward was just, I don't know if you guys charge development cost charges. So like if somebody wants to build something, you guys charge them a certain amount of money, but most municipalities do that. And just looking at like whether we could trade infrastructure development for, to reduce what they're called DCCs in the planning world, development cost charges. So we'll have a look at all that. And this is from your guys' OCP as well. So we thought it was it's already approved by council, so we thought it was a good one to put forward. I'm going to share the spreadsheet with you now where we could talk about, oh, if it's open. Sorry, I'm not seeing it on my little share thing. You guys have the spreadsheet in front of you, I think. Do you, Mayor Irvin?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, perfect. You guys can just skip all past the first kind of like half of it. That's not like super important. Oh, actually, yeah, I'll cover if you go to 2.1 in the spreadsheet, just above, I guess, number 2. So how many units are we projecting that we would like to put on online or incentivize or whatever through these different programs? That number is 42. And it's really up to the municipality what they think they can do. And there's a few things that go into that. We look at like your average historical growth rate. We look at like what's been happening in the last few years. We look at like different permits and stuff like that. We try to get a number that's defensible, and we're definitely not like overshooting. I think this is definitely an achievable number, and council needs to remember it's when we talk about this, it's units. It's not necessarily like a freestanding like single house. It could be like multi residential like home, like an apartment building. It could be like these accessory buildings. It could be like a carriage house. It could be like even another dwelling unit in somebody's house. So 42 units is the goal within the next 3 years. And without the Housing Accelerator Fund, you guys would put on about 20-ish. So really, this is what we're hoping to get to. Single detached homes, we're hoping to incentivize 10 of those. That's probably going to mostly be through the grant program. The missing middle housing, that's going to be, we hope to incentivize 20 missing middle units, and that's going to be through grants, incentives, policy changes, that kind of thing. And then multi-unit housing. So hopefully incentivizing either through grants or another way through some of these policy changes. Hopefully some of those developments will be multi-unit. And there's different incentives. So multi-unit gets a bit of an incentive from CMHC, affordable housing does. And I'm just trying to like skip over like most of the details, but it's of course a federal funding program, so it's super complicated, but I'm trying my best. So at the end of the day, we're proposing through this program that we can incentivize 42 units. You guys meet all the criteria for that. Then you have to project how many per year and all that kind of stuff. But if you just kind of go down to section F, which is the permitted use of funds. So this is the number. We don't say, oh, we need X amount of money to do this. We type in all these different things, how many units you want to permit, and it spits out this number at you. So your guys' number is $1.844 million. So that's the application roughly we'll be putting forward for this like funding application. And it could change slightly. Like for example, if CMHC decides they really don't want to see an initiative about helping solve the mortgage thing, then we might need to substitute in something else. But where we've taken that has been from the OCP, so it should already be approved by you guys, and it's not kind of me and Cam just kind of thinking up something new or whatever. So that's where that's coming from. And I think I could probably just leave it there, guys, and just like open up any questions that you might have. That is basically where your Housing Accelerator funding application is at. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I like what's there. So does CMHC for the most part. And we'd be ready to submit like more or less whenever. And that's all I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Obviously a lot of work done, and we're excited about this opportunity. I know we've talked lots about it. I think it will bring opportunity and some housing to our town. The lots are underway and we need people to build. So I hope that this is something that can come to fruition and really, support that. I'll just open up the floor and see if there's any questions, and then we'll get a motion for this application. Councillor Burtis, any questions?
No, I think it's good. It looks like a lot of work I put into it, so it's good.
Yeah. Councillor Paquette?
Yeah, I do. So we get the money ahead of time, correct?
Yeah.
And then if we don't meet the number of housing, do we have to pay money back or how does that work?
No, it's all projections, and so the program accounts for that like we have the ability to move these things forward, but whether housing gets built, sorry, this is an important point. It's not actually like we don't actually need built housing by the end of the program either. It's permits issued. So that's an important distinction. But no, I don't believe we'll have to give any of the money back as long as we're working towards doing this and spending this money. So like if we offer free money for people to build homes and nobody takes it, I'd have to think about that. Like maybe let me get back to you, Councillor Paquette, on that. But to my understanding, we've never talked about, oh, if you don't achieve this, like needing to like give all the money back or anything, because all this money is going to be spent up front anyways, for the most part.
And then is this something we can apply for every 3 years?
Yeah, so the program covers 3 years. So like provisionally ends December 30th, 2026, but we don't need to reapply. This would cover all 3 years, and we're only agreeing to do this work if we get the money. So if we're approved, we agree to do all this work and try to put these programs in place and get these units on the market and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So the program is not just running for these 3 years, right? We could apply in another 3 years, correct?
Well, that would be no. So this tranche of funding is only for this application intake. My understanding there is more money allocated to this housing accelerator stuff, but they haven't announced like a new intaker yet. So it would be appropriate for me to say, oh yeah, in 3 years we can reapply again. But I think there's a high possibility of that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And thanks for all the work you've done on this. This is great.
Yeah, no problem.
Good
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Councillor Slager, do you have any questions?
I was just wondering if Jordan could describe some of the parameters or barriers that CMHC is presenting.
Oh man, how much time you guys got? Well, it's just like this conversation very much started like, hey, like CMHC coming to us and being like, hey, you tell us what we're going to do, and like that kind of thing. And then as time progressed, it very much became just tell us what you need us to do. Like we're telling CMHC that, right? Because we put things forward and they go, oh, it doesn't align with the program. And I thought this was supposed to be kind of like wide open, like you tell us what we're supposed to do and that kind of thing. But it just never ended up like that. So I think where we started, we had some different ideas that I was personally kind of excited about, like figuring out how to like market local real estate better and that kind of thing, but they just weren't going for it. So yeah, it was just a bit disappointing. But like I told Jillian, our representative, I was like, I don't blame you, I blame myself, because I've been through enough of these that I know this is, I know it was going to end up like this, and I should have been a little bit more realistic about that.
I think too, your worship, part of the problem was that the government people didn't even know the program. So they were learning it at the same time we were learning it.
Which government?
Like the feds, like through CMHC and the program.
Okay.
The money was there and they just made rules as they went along. And then everybody had to adapt to it. And even and there was call after call after call, and they couldn't even get things right themselves. They kept calling the Yukon, the province, and your province jurisdiction will help you with it. Well, that's not what happens up here, right? So it was a frustrating process from start to finish. So
okay.
I think another compounding factor was the total application window was 45 days. So by the time we knew nothing to the time we were supposed to have this all done, tied up in a bow, ready to go, is 45 days. Not 45 business days, 45 days. So it was incredibly quick turnaround. And then the day before it was supposed to close, they just announced it was going to be open until September 29th. So there you go.
So we got more time to polish. I guess. you could say. Counselor Hunter? you have a
Well, I
question?
thought we were gonna get the money just for like putting in an application because nobody else had theirs done.
Yeah,
But-
fair. Yeah,
That's the point of
the rush,
application period.
yeah.
Sorry, do you have more?
Yeah, one last, question slash comment. Is there a possibility of transferring funds? So they've allocated 10 units for this, 12 units for that. If you say you used up your 10 singles attached buildings and you had somebody else come along that said, hey, those people got this, and it's the same calendar year, could you transfer funds from one to another? And so.
I think I personally think there's opportunity for that. Again, this is something we've been told, like, if something happens after you get funding, there's opportunity to kind of move it around as long as it's within program parameters. So that's what we've been told. So I would like to say, yes, I think there will be opportunity to do that because we can't predict the future. We can only put our best foot forward and things happen. And so there does need to be that flexibility, in my opinion.
Thank you, Counselor Slager. Counselor Hunter?
I don't really have anything major. I think it looks really good. My only question was, do you see any scenario where maybe they don't approve the whole thing, where maybe we just get like a partial amount? Is that a possibility, or is it like an all or nothing
Yeah.
kind of decision?
That's a great question, Counselor. Thank you. Yes, we could get funded a partial amount. So now that Cam and I have some extra time, we've been thinking about, well, should we just put forward a 6th initiative in case they don't like one, something like this. So yes, and they will review our application and say, oh, well, I think, we don't really agree with your projections here or whatever. And so we may get less, probably not more, but it can change. Yeah.
Thank you.
CAO Lockwood, you got anything to add to this or any comments or?
No, I just think it'll be very good program if we get it approved, but it's like you said, it's been a very frustrating process.
Yeah, I know that when we first started this, the titling and like they were approaching communities, Canadian communities and specifically northern communities and First Nations. So I have reached out for support from LFN to, acknowledge that what we're doing. I gave them details of what we're looking for that to happen, and it is our community as a whole. So everybody can take part in this. I haven't not yet got that letter back from LFN for support, but I'm really hoping to get that back very soon. So I think that I don't know if that's going to be a huge extra on our application, but I think every little bit will help.
Absolutely. And, we have, Your Worship, we have till September 29th. We'll submit our application a little bit earlier than that, but of course, a letter of support would be welcome anytime before the portal closes. So maybe that just allows the chief and his council a bit more time to discuss that.
That's great. Okay, so with that, we will make a motion to approve the application for submission. If I can get a
I'll
motion.
make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Any more questions and comments? All in favor? Thank you so much, Mr. Stackhouse, for all your work.
Thanks, Jordan.
No worries. Cam, do you need me to stay on for anything else or are you good?
No, I think it's all good, Jordan. Thanks.
Oh, okay. We'll talk tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, next on our agenda, we have Sergeant Cropper. Welcome. Step to the chair. How are you today, sir?
Good.
Well, not sir, he's wearing his shirt.
For integration.
Can't do that. How are you?
Good. So it's gonna visit some kind of house. Sort of, much so the summer. This time.
Yeah.
Resources are getting better for us, which is good. Other than person invited in September, so. Last few months have been kind of up and down for miles. Last month we had about 20 miles increase from the previous year. A lot of the files we found this move on. trying to get people to get through, not from this problem, but also like the one on the highway there, for example, that's quite a few reports on that one. The recent ones with the drugs that we've been having around. So there's been two different circumstances where we see these drugs. There's some searches of warrant executed, this would be talking to house as well as stand as well, so they're involved. We do have a plan in place for over the next few months what we're going to be doing, and we have that in. We need to see what happens with housing there. It's the two that were involved with home invasion, but I know that was from Facebook. Those two were identified and arrested. One was held in custody and is going to be held with warrants out of British Columbia, so we're working with BC right now for that. The other one was released, still have some conditions, and so we're just kind of doing political management on that side of it now. So things are kind of moving ahead. There's a little bit of a busy period for us, but of course, you know, busy buckling down and work as hard as they can.
Great. Yeah, it's a busy time. There's lots of people, there's extra people, there's lots going on. My question is, so your staffing, just back to that, your full capacity would be 9 members?
That's right.
And you're at?
Right now, we are at, we have one hard vacancy, which is being filled. The rest of them are all soft vacancies that we have. So right now we have one vacancy. Right.
So you have 8 out of your 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
And does that include, if people were like on leave and stuff like that, or is that those are like?
Yeah, so the soft vacancies would be people who were on leave, training, could be on 6.
Any more questions from council?
How does one access the restorative justice program? Because being a high school teacher, I sometimes come into contact with people that fall under that category. How does one refer?
So
Is there an age limit? Is it listening to offenders, or is it can be 18?
no, so there's a couple of caveats. So actually, like in West, I consider that a pilot project.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty short pilot. So if there's a criminal offense that's been taking place, if the person's taking ownership for it, then we can make the referral over to the Elephant Justice Center. Maester has agreed to take on anybody who's part of Watson Lake, as long as the offense is taking place. That's the only caveat for that side. The other side of it is we still have the other restorative justice program, which is both sides would happy to participate on it. The age limit is not, there's no age limits. We concentrate for the 13 to above, like criminal court offense. Under that, it's not a criminal offense yet, because they're not out at age, right? So yeah, there is other ones where we have been involved in like some bullying and some finance schools where we have done restorative justice routes, and we've done that. So.
Councilor Archer?
Oh, so just back to the drug and crime mayhem that's kind of been going on in the community. Obviously, we all know it's happening. It's a lot worse recently than it's been, I think, ever. I don't know if you're aware, but of the group that has been kind of formed with a bunch of concerned citizens in the community. Actually, who's here with us tonight. I do have a longer piece that I was going to say in council reform, so I don't know if I should just say it now or what. But
Yeah, go ahead.
But basically, so for those who don't know, we've been experiencing a spree of drug trade activity and associated acts of crime throughout the community. While certainly not a new thing in Watson Lake, it's been markedly worse in recent weeks, which has resulted in the formation of a group of concerned community members who have had enough, with the goal of reducing criminal activity and hopefully seeing drug dealers and criminals arrested or driven from the community. While I do think this needs to be a community-driven initiative, or nothing will ever change, we as elected officials need to show some leadership and use whatever authority we do have to bring attention to this issue that is affecting the entire community. So one major takeaway that I took from the meeting was that the residents don't feel like we're making this a priority. They want to see us, council, partner with Liard First Nation, the RCMP, and Yukon government to hopefully come up with some tangible, actionable steps that will improve life in Watson Lake in regard to health and safety for all residents. sorry if I start repeating myself. I don't really feel like it's council's mandate to lead the war on drugs, or for lack of a better term. But it does need to come from the community, but I do feel that we could be lobbying the government to ensure that our local RCMP do have the resources that they need to fight crime, and that YG has arranged for adequate mental health and addiction supports in the community for those who need it. The community members who attended the meeting also stated that if we can find some money to help with the implementation of some sort of night watch or citizens on patrol, that is something they'd like to see. And I'm not sure what that looks like, and I think that's actually just a separate conversation from this, but hopefully admin can look into that at some point. Or for some options. I think there are a lot of things that we can do in ways for us to support the cause, but I think the very first and most important thing that we can do as council is to call everyone's attention to this issue and make sure that everyone is prepared to make this a priority going forward. So what I mean by that is what I'm proposing is that we have a moderated public meeting with town council, the Art First Nation, concerned citizens, hopefully RCMP, YG officials, to declare a health and safety emergency in this community, so that we can have I guess a frank discussion about where we're going to go from here. So just to give you a heads up, that's kind of like the direction that we're going, and hopefully that you will be willing to participate in something like that. Yeah.
No, I 100%, like, I mean, we're part of the community, all our schemes, like, as I say, like, increasingly drastically, I would disagree with that, because you can see it kind of stays the same. Now, is there a different type of clientele? Absolutely. There's always going to be that there from clients out there that want the drugs. The reality is when there's no support, there's no addiction counsel for them, where are they going to get change? Because that demands what's going to be. And that's where our kind of like, we're the enforcement side, we're not the side, but I agree with that. We're all trying to do the same goal to try to make this community better. 100% we're on board.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
So,
I'll just add a little bit to that because we were gonna speak to it later, but the goal of that is to get everybody in one room at one time and have a very organized and build a strategy as to what that looks like. To declare the health and safety emergency is just gonna highlight the urgency, I think, and it's not to take away from what you've been doing or anything like that. It's just it's really to just, acknowledge where we're at right now. And the fact that you just said, we want to make this community better. And if that's how we can be leaders and take initiative, then that's what we'll do. And, I want to make that a public announcement, and I want to make that public that LFN, Dayudena, yourself, and any ministers that are related to this issue, be in attendance. Just so you're aware, we're kind of aiming for September 6th. Okay.
Yeah.
If that's a possibility, and
any other days you guys are thinking?
yeah, well, no. Are you away or are you around? Yeah, you're away.
I'm
So,
probably getting truck service.
yeah,
After a few months.
yeah. I mean, we'll send out an invite, okay, and we'll put 6th and kind of aim for the day above, before, and the day after. Everybody has a real tight schedule here, so if
If there's
they're,
an opportunity of attending virtually.
Yeah.
Be a little bit easier, because once I can go to sideline.
you know what, we will make that happen. We'll do the virtual because the premier has also said that he would be willing to attend virtually. And I'll make sure that happens. So we'll build a Zoom portal so that everybody can be there.
Yeah, I think a hybrid would be better, just
Yeah.
because then it gives everybody the option to attend.
Sure. And we can build it up and make it very big and get everybody on there for people who can't make it anywhere. And make it,
Maybe other communities that want to join in, so Billy, you had mentioned that before, that there are other communities that have reached out to you, so there may be other communities that want to join.
yeah, and that's not a problem. We can do virtual. So if that's what it needs to be, that will be. But yeah, we really want to make some initiative on this and to make sure that people feel safe in our community, It's the bottom line, like none of this housing stuff matters if people feel that they're threatened to live here. So, and safety for our kids and safety for all of that is number one, always is, always will be.
Sorry, and also so that it doesn't always just fall on our CMP, because you guys obviously have a big part in this, but so does every single community member here. Needs to make it like socially unacceptable for any of that stuff to even be happening.
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'd say, it's like, community engagement right now might be the best time to do this, because, that was 6 months ago, it might not. I think it's same interest or same impact, that would be great, so I think it's a good initiative, and it's a good step forward. That's for us.
Okay. It's great. That's great. I don't think we have anything else for you at this time, but we appreciate it. And thanks for all good work. Thanks for being in the parade.
Your worship, maybe Jordan could introduce his supervisor since he's here.
This is Sergeant Greg Holbrook, he's the NCO, so he's who I report to in Whitehorse. He's come down and I surprised him, I said, hey, come with me, you'll go for a drive. Yes, he wasn't prepared at all.
Good.
He's up here helping us out this week and hanging around.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for what you do.
Yes.
Not easy, so appreciate it.
And just thank you for your presence and actually, being really effective and in, catching a lot of the people that have been causing a lot of trouble in town. So that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome.
Teams been doing awesome work. Which is
Yeah,
great.
good.
Makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's great.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll see you September 6th.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Actually,
Oh, no.
okay.
Okay, thanks.
You're supposed to have 9 members in these areas, 9 member staff. What's like that? Yeah, normally on a normal basis, how you're actually do that other, stress,
Can you push pause?
but it seems like every time I have a
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the CAO report.
Well, welcome back. So normally, summer break for council is a good time for me, but I don't know, this year's been strange in between staffing issues and trying to keep things going every which direction. It's been a really strange year. It's been probably the most challenging in the last, I'd say it's 7 summers. So, yeah, so we're moving forward. And of course, as you know, our fire chief resigned. And so we've been sort of, that's all fallen sort of on the corner of my desk now. We're currently in the staffing process. We received, I think 4 resumes so far for the position. So that's a good thing because the last few go rounds, we've only received a couple. So there seems to be some qualified candidates in the mix so far. So we're gonna move through that process. And then it's been a struggle to post, to staff some other positions with hired people. And then there's been people resign. So it's been our staffing process and just nonstop all summer. Recycling's been a real hard one for us. And then, of course, now we're back to school again time. So now we're really starting to struggle on the other side of the coin. So Northern Lights Center, swimming pool, rec, summer staff are all coming to an end as of Thursday, except for a couple of university students. So starting, we're going to be running the Northern Lights Center still full open until next Monday night, which would be the 4th. And then we're going to summer reduced or winter reduced schedule to the end of September. So we're possibly going to be down to 5 days a week. We're just working out the details on that. Because we're going to be down to only 2 staff, 2 full-time staff, and then 1 student, sorry. And then we have the vacancy at the front desk at the rec center that will be coming open as of the 1st. So we do have a student that's going to be staffing that position. Unfortunately, not unfortunately for them, but unfortunately for us, they're involved in school sports. So there's 2 days a week that we're not going to have coverage. So it's going to be some overtime. It's going to costs that are going to play out till the end of September is there as well. And we have one of our Parks and Rec caretakers that off on medical now without a return date. So we've advertised for caretaker's position's been posted. We've received, unfortunately, because when we post, we get inundated by applicants from outside of Canada. So the screening process, gets long and more thin, but I think it closes on the 5th as well. Same as the fire chief. So we're moving forward on staffing those positions to try and bring us back up to strength. We've finally got recycling up to full staff again. So we're moving forward on keeping those things ready. As your worship mentioned, the fire chiefs conference is in town. Starting, the fire chiefs from all the territories start arriving on tomorrow night. It's, I believe, it's Wednesday. So they're starting arriving tomorrow night. Their conference runs Thursday, Friday. Well, Saturday morning is a training morning on extrication. So we're doing a simulated accident scene with a semi, a cube van, and a few vehicles in the morning. And that's going to take place behind, sort of behind the old fire hall on the where we still rent warm storage. So across from Home Hardware. So it is open for people that want to come and actually see what's going on. And then the afternoon is actually a firefighter extrication competition. Where there's right now, I think they have 4 teams registered to come in and actually do extrication games for the afternoon. Cool. And then it wraps up with their banquet on Thursday evening. So it's been a few struggles trying to get that organized with Colin leaving, and some of the stuff didn't get picked up, so I've been dealing with that. But it's just sort of the perfect storm. I'm happy for Jenny Skelton that she's turning 80 and they're having a birthday party on Saturday, but that takes away 3 nonprofit organizations that would normally bartend and run bars for events that have left the void. So I was able to scrounge up enough bartenders from the outdoor rec club to cover the bar. So
I was gonna say the seniors might be
the
interested.
seniors are not interested.
Oh,
They're going to Jenny's birthday party.
oh, of course.
And there wasn't an organization that's in good standings that wasn't approached in the bar. So anyways, they're gonna look out for their own liquor license, and we're just getting the bartenders. So
Okay.
so anyway, so that's moving ahead, and it's good to showcase community. So I've set up entertainment stuff for them for Thursday night. Friday night, we're actually closing the Northern Lights Center an hour earlier. So that way they can have a little viewing party, so they can go back to their communities and spread the word. And then Saturday is their banquet, so, and then they'll be out here. So it's nice, there's 40 people come to town, which is nice to spread that extra view of our community around to them. We're working diligently on tender documents. We have a bunch of procurement stuff that's out right now, and it'll all be closing in September. Tiffany and Shannon are both off this week, trying to catch up on some holidays. And so we're just proceeding through. We've been meeting lots with staff and the CAT pension people, rolling out the pension program for our employees. Which comes into effect August 28th is our start date for that, for people to start registering for the participation. And any new staff hired as of now are automatically enrolled in the pension plan. So, and it's up to each employee to reach out and talk to their financial advisors about, pros and cons of, how much pension they can buy from previous, as long as there's requirements based on if they work for the town for so many years, we can prove they can roll their RSPs or whatever they want into the program. So,
There's interest there for employees.
Yes.
Like employees doing it.
yeah, there's, of course, there's always a few naysayers.
That's right, but-
And a few skeptics, but, everybody's different, right?
But that's why it's not forced on them.
It's not forced, so any of the current staff
Yeah.
have an option to either stay with RSPs.
Yeah.
Or go into the new program, or they can go into the new program and keep their old RSPs where they are, if they're happy with that, and play it all out, so, I personally, from the management side, all the managers are actually have opted in. So, which is nice to see, because that speaks volumes of what the management team can see from the program. So, so that's moving ahead, we're still chasing the union, trying to get the final written copy of the collective agreement, which is, we're 8 months into this now, and it's been a struggle, but we're still plugging away and moving that down the pipe. The other thing that's coming out shortly to our staff is that we're working on starting to work on next year's budgets already. So that time has come. So they're plugging away. Lots of work being done on the rec center, trying to get that stuff done. So the new floors in the bowling alley area, it looks really nice on that side. Roof is done. We had a few little issues where with all this heavy rain, the drainage coming off the roof isn't adequate, so they're gonna add a few more drains in the roof so we can ever run into these, what do you call them, atmospheric rivers again that are deluging us with water. So we're moving forward on that. They're gonna start, I believe, Old Crow, they were supposed to be in Old Crow, but with the evacuation and back things up. So within the next couple of weeks, I expect to see them here out at the ski chalet, finishing, starting on the roof out there. They were there last week taking measurements on flashings and those kind of things moving forward. And we're dealing with infrastructure branch on COVID funding. And COVID, so COVID, there's a COVID funding stream from the federal government under ISEP, and it's for ventilation, infiltration in buildings. So as part of that, we've got them, there's an engineering firm that's been hired, and they're gonna scope the rec center, this building, and the Northern Lights to replace our air handlers. And which is perfect timing because of the fact that all that infrastructure is 25+ years old. And if we can get new air handling and filtration systems in place and all paid on the federal dollar, it's a win-win for the community. So maybe a few millions of dollars in that program. There's a funding, work's gotta be done by, I think, January 1st, 2026, I think. So there's time to get it done. So we're definitely chasing it, and then I hate to say it, but it goes in our favor with all the media stuff now about the new COVID variant that's coming out, so. And in-ground infrastructure work, we have our kickoff meeting here in our office on the 28th, where the contractor and all the engineering firms are in town. And their plan is September for shovels in the ground on Tintino Way. They're just waiting on the material shipment to come in. They've been talking with the local property owners already and dealing with lay down areas and that kind of stuff. So that's coming. The territorial government through Lands Branch has issued the contract for the in-ground infrastructure for the Francis Avenue extension. It's gone to Sidhu Contracting. The stuff for in town for the next stuff is Norco. They have that contract. And the lift station for the Francis Avenue extension came in over budget, and it goes back to management board, I believe maybe this week, for approval of the overage. It sort of goes hand in hand. They've already issued the contract for water and sewer to go in, needs a lift station. So a little hard not to approve the lift station when.
Was it like crazy or like?
I'm not privy to those numbers. So anyways, it's going back to management board. As you see farther on in your package, there's been complaints about the Francis Avenue extension. But if any of you actually went down that extension right now and seen the valleys and the ravines and the kind of stuff that's in there, that's in plain sight now. A massive amount of dirt's gonna have to go in there to make those lots. Probably 3/4 of those lots sellable. So that's moving ahead, but there's timbers have been cleared. There's gonna be a whole bunch of firewood, or I shouldn't say firewood, it's wood. That's gonna be available for salvage to the community members. Once they get the rest of the clearing done. And unfortunately, it's green wood, so people wanna cut green wood and put it off to dry at home. It's gonna be there, but it's wood that's right in the community that'll be up for salvage, and there'll be announcements coming about that. Swimming pools, the one I missed about summer stuff. So I've been talking with my staff over there, and we are going to continue to open the swimming pool till the end of September on a reduced schedule, so from 3:30 to, I believe, 7 o'clock at night, for public swimming and different stuff. Tuesdays to Fridays, and then open all day Saturday for various swimming programs. So the schedule went out today, so please share with everybody, because everything's going good, and I want it to continue with the usage. The numbers have been constant in that 20+ people for public swimming all the way through, so it's really nice. If the weather holds, I really would like to get one last kick at the cat at Lucky Lake this weekend. For Saturday, because it's supposed to be 25 degrees, and then we'll shut it down for the season. But and then, yeah, the pool will just continue through, so staff have been very good, lots of good feedback from everybody about how things are running over there, so I'm very happy.
Yep.
It's the first year ever, knock on my thick skull, where it hasn't been catastrophe, so. So yeah, so we're moving forward on that. As you see, there's admin reports from all the departments. If it wasn't coming off a spring or summer break, actually the plan is going forward that I'm gonna have the department heads actually here to report on their lines of council.
Cool.
And we've been working on, that's the other thing we've been doing is staff training. So each one of the managers actually, or supervisors, have had one-on-one training with Elevator Yukon and I want to say it's Kismet Consulting, and they're working with them on report writing and presentation and stuff. So you'll see little bit different formatting that
Already looks.
in the reports. So yeah, so we're giving the staff some one-on-one training. I'm very happy that with the progress over at Recreation with Melanie as the rec programmer, she's really working hard on programming. Discovery Days, their Discovery Day went very well, smaller parade than normal, but and the park was busy after. There was vendors set up and the bouncy castle and stuff, so that it was a decent turnout. Unfortunately, the band numbers weren't there, but when we have a competing event like Cascades that usually isn't on Discovery Day weekend, it throws a twist to everything.
Yeah.
So, but our staff is working hard and moving on over there, which is really nice. And then there's been a change to the format of the way the rec center runs. So I've split operations over there. So parks and maintenance staff, all Darren Law's the foreman on that side of the house. He always was as a lead hand. So he's in charge of the caretakers and summer staff and the flower people and doing all that maintenance. And then the front end of the house, Melanie is the supervisor. And so she's got reception, swimming pool, and the janitor fall under her stream, and all the rentals and stuff and programming all fall there. And it's really streamlined things over there. And they're having weekly team meetings, so they know what the other line of the house is doing and things are rolling. Yeah, and that's it for now.
Okay, are you sure?
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Summer, yeah, it was busy. There's lots going on, and we appreciate all the work you're doing. It's a lot. It seems to be never ending as well. But thank you for all your hard work. Next, we'll just move along to number 7 on the agenda, which is the department quarterly reports, as Cam mentioned. We do have good detailed reports. I'll just hand it to the floor for council to ask questions if there's anything regarding the reports. Councilor Paquette, you have some questions?
Okay, so in the fire,
Should we go through these one by one, then?
sorry? We can go one by one for sure. You want to do my law first?
No, go ahead, you start.
Okay. Oh, one by one.
I'm just saying we all,
How about-
let's talk about fire and let's all talk about.
Okay, yeah, no, for sure. What are we not compliant on?
Sorry.
It said that we were getting things to compliance, so what is it that we're not compliant on?
There was, prior to, Colin starting, we had issues with, complying with, standards on certification on equipment and like helmets, SCBA bottles, and, a few other things that were now in compliance.
Okay, you just said that we were becoming completely compliant, so
Yeah, exactly.
sure what else was left for us to be.
And actually, everything is in compliance as we speak.
Okay, awesome, thank you, and then, I know there's seems to be like some fire guys going out for treatment, and then it also talks about PTSD in here, and so are we providing any support for people that are having PTSD due to stress?
Well, we are doing critical incident debriefing, and we're dealing with our insurance provider and setting up counseling where needed and dealing with each individual case as a thing, and that all falls under personnel, which falls in camera.
Sorry, did you have another one? I was just wondering when this was written, like, just because obviously fire chief resigned and just a lot of the stuff says we, shoot to have this stuff completed by the end of August or end of, fall or whatever it is. And I'm just wondering like what happens to all that stuff now? What's the timeline for, I'm sorry, I know you addressed this earlier. It's just slipping my mind, timeline for hopefully getting another fire chief or.
I'm hoping to do interviews the week of September 8th, really this week of September 6th.
Okay, and then, so I guess, do you think the stuff that was in here has been done? Or do you think
Well,
that the
yes.
next person's gonna have to like pick up on all of that?
Well, there's stuff that continues through all the time. This report, you have to remember, this report was written for the end of June, right?
Okay,
Right, this
yes.
is budget, this
Yeah.
is that quarter. So this is the previous quarter.
I did have one more, and it talks about a document created to set up standard operating guidelines, so I know Colin was gonna like make it a little bit compressed, was that completed or is that something that?
No, you're referring to the bylaw, not the standard operating procedures, remember?
Well, it just said to create a standard document created,
Yeah.
350 pages.
Yeah, so there is the new standard operating guidelines, which needs to be adopted yet. So I haven't reviewed it yet to see what's.
Okay, so Colin has kind of done his compression on it, a bit before he left, okay.
And I would just like to state for the record that the fire department this quarter did the same number of EMS assists as fire calls. And I'm wondering if we've been paid for those.
I'm not sure, I have to check with finance to see what's been, but I know in the last week I attended 5 fire call-outs myself. So there has been a few EMS assists, but the majority were alarm calls in the last.
Okay, but just as of end of June,
Yeah.
it says on here.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, thanks. That's all for me.
Councilor Slager?
I know that we set aside $7,000 each year to buy turnout gear in each of the last 3 years. And I was noticing that it said that we purchased 11 wildland fire, and I'm wondering
15.
why, which 13 sets of wildland turnout gear, which $800. Wildland fire, and that's different.
I don't get that, you guys actually applied, approved that in your capital budget, and that was for grass fires and stuff in the community, so That's,
I thought we just had 21 sets of gear just for like.
yeah, it's turnout gear.
Yeah.
And then this is wildland turnout gear for our firefighters.
To do
Okay,
grass fires,
This is
to line-
Nomex clothing for our fire department members to do grass fires and stuff in the community.
Gotcha, I just the way it was.
Yeah, we're not buying for.
The way it was worded.
Just buying for that. Yeah, no, I can say.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, for sure.
no, it's worded, it's just 13 sets of wildland turnout gear. So, yeah. But that was in the capital budget, that was approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
thanks for clarifying that.
Council Burtis, do you have any questions
No,
regarding fire?
No.
Okay, so we'll move to bylaw then. Anybody have questions for the bylaw?
This
Yeah, I was looking at
is
that.
hilarious.
What is that?
I don't know.
That's in, that's what happened in the counselor package when people edit the package.
Oh,
So when I type that in for notes to ask at the meeting, that shows up.
Fine.
Yeah,
No, I just didn't know what that was doing. I thought it was a little cheeky. I was like,
Yeah.
that wasn't,
that's not part of the.
that was not in the document that I.
So just so the gallery and everybody knows, the question people are asking to there is, bylaw has referred to a complaint that was received from, the seniors complex regarding an individual burning garbage in his incinerator for power or for heat, sorry. So underneath there, it's a cheeky thing saying, is he burning garbage? Question mark. Currently, we don't know. And he has been addressed, and this person has been told that he should not be burning garbage. And he did tell us that he was going to switch to propane, so hopefully we won't have that smoke issue for much longer.
I know you can't speak to individual cases, but the only thing I feel like that wasn't addressed in this report were any cleanup orders or action on those types of properties.
Yeah, so there is progress made on them. I actually met with bylaw this morning, and that'll be covered. All that progress will be tracked in the next quarterly report.
Thank you.
Any more questions for bylaw?
No.
Okay. What would we like to do next? Public Works? Any questions for Public Works?
Do you anticipate any more digs to fix lines? I know there's issues.
I wish I could answer that question for you, Councillor Slager. It's like a crystal ball. I do know there is 2 more digs we could do. Just the area where the dig is, it's such a vast thing. We're trying to weigh the pros and cons of it. Because of the fact of fiber optic, underground power, and the list goes on in that area.
That'd be Campbell Day.
You're right. So it's, yeah, and so I've got it on my priority list. It's just a matter of weighing when we can get all the resources in a row to actually do it, so. Yeah.
I had a couple of just little comments for Public Works. In the budget section, they mentioned that unit 34, which is a 2020 cat, is over budget due to a 1,000-hour service for fitting, which costs $6,000. I'm just curious to know if that is an annual cost of servicing that machine. Why, if it's so new, and does it not have a warranty or something like that? And then also, oh, sorry, that was it for that.
It's 1,000 hours.
For that.
Yeah, so that 1,000 hours is 1,000 actual engine hours, so
Oh, I thought it was like 1,000 hours of servicing.
no.
But geez, that seems a little bit of a session.
They do it 5 months.
They rebuilt the grader, yeah.
Okay. What's wrong?
No, I see what you're doing.
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
$6 an hour.
But,
Yeah.
okay, so that's.
So, yes.
But is that something that has to happen annually at that cost?
Well, no, 1,000 hours is, that machine is 3 years old,
Okay,
and that cost, and that was using fitting directly, and The reason we used spinning for this one was because of the fact that it's still under warranty. So going forward, we didn't want to have anything void or warranty.
Okay.
So going forward, we'll use our own contractors, which drops those prices.
Okay, and then thank you for that. My other question was about the public workshop, because they're also over budget there on the O and M. They're saying due to the janitorial services not being added into the original budget for that. And I'm just wondering, is that contract separate from the one for the town office?
It is,
And will it need to be tendered?
it is, and it was,
Oh, okay.
it was tendered. So, yes, it definitely was an oversight on all of our behalves, but I'll take that one on the chin. It was something that I didn't foresee when we just looked at apples to apples, when we pulled in the budgets from the different departments, but it'll be something that'll be accounted for going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Public Works? Nope. Okay, moving to finance. Questions for finance?
I think questions, really, more of a comment. It would be, the ledger, it's hard for me to understand everything that's going on with that. It'd be nice if there was the capacity for them to do a little bit of a write-up as well. Then maybe highlight the specific things that are like, really stand out. That we should kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to see, and I don't necessarily understand all that.
When you're not as familiar with it as
Yeah.
as people.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
So that's my only comment. I know we've been getting it like that for the whole time, but I just thought, man, it'd be nice if they actually wrote something down.
Well, and I think too, when, like with Shannon being in the room, then she could explain it, but
Yeah,
we can break it down in an admin report that shows revenue in this quarter compared to revenue in the same quarter last year. And we could do year to date, which shows it here, but if you don't know where to look or how to
Yeah.
decipher it.
Yeah.
It's been, and I hate to say it's not, it's the way we've always done it, doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
No,
So,
no, for
and
sure.
so I can work with Shannon on that to get an actual admin report, and then we can break it down so it's bearable. Every council's different. Some want to actually micro inspect how much business license revenue or how many funds in revenue and get right into the details, where others, if it's based on year-to-date revenue by department, or there's so many different ways, but I'll work with Shannon on coming up with something different.
I would also appreciate that.
Yeah, and how often she does attend when she. It's helpful. But yeah.
Yeah.
I went through it a little bit, and I noticed there's $5,000 available for baseball diamond that we haven't spent yet. That we allocated in the budget too. And just so it's out and open and on the table, am I correct in reading this that we're $105,000 over budget now?
Very last page. I kind of thought that the minuses were positives in this report, but I don't think that's correct.
There.
They are?
So it is true, we are $105,000.
No, we're not over budget.
We're under,
We're under budget.
still
Yeah.
under.
Because in other instances where we have a budget amount of like 2,500. And then the year to date comes up as 5,000 something, the variance reads minus 133%.
So we're.
Because if you were find an example.
Let's see what we went. Well, our year-to-date expenses are 2.5 million. Go back to revenue.
Because it just, the lines at the bottom don't add up.
Yeah. Well, that part doesn't really surprise me.
Expenses and variance.
Because you can't even look at one number and compare it to another and say, okay, that's $105,000 difference.
I think ultimately, like Danina's trying to say, is this variance report is like,
I understand it's difficult to read.
yeah, and
Yeah, sorry, your worship, and it didn't break it out. Because usually at the end of the finance section, total revenues, there we go. So our total revenues to date are 4.8 million. So it means we're 2.3
We're halfway
million
there.
above.
Yeah, in the green.
And if the variance percent is 58, so
Yeah.
that means we're,
So we have 50% left,
that's right.
Yes.
so that would be we're 105 to the good, not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the current month.
Yeah, so that's right, 2.3 million to the good is where we're sitting right now. And that's the very last line. Where it's got the negative,
Percentage, not the.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, it's a percentage, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I knew that. I know how much we have in the bank, so.
Okay,
Because yeah, the other thing that like Warren pointed out is there's many things with the public works, one that we're over budget, so then where's that money come from? I don't know, there's other pots that it can come from, but that would be nice to know too, like where are we actually taking that extra money, what pot?
Well, we don't really know though until close to the end of the year, though, right?
Yeah.
Because you'll see where
And that's
we
where,
put funds somewhere that we could move to other funds.
Yeah, but it'd be just nice to know that from like this report right here, saying, okay, we're over, where are we taking that money from at this point in time?
and
You know what I mean?
a lot of it, you know, that's the, under my financial discretion, I have that money. I can float that money, so if I'm running vacancies and have salary dollars and stuff, so it's a real ebb and flow based on it, so, yeah.
But it's just nice to know, like, okay, we're good, because we've had an excess of money here, so we're taking it from here.
But we don't know that until it's closer to the end of the year, because you don't know how much excess money you're gonna have in this department or that.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's how much revenue we've got and how much our expenses.
That's right.
And as long as we're good on the one side.
That's right.
No, absolutely, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just saying, if we're doing these reports every, quarter, then it'd be nice to know in that quarter where we are actually taking money.
But we don't know, and won't know when
But
that.
he has to still pay the debt, is what I'm saying, so he's taking it from somewhere, so he does know. Right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I base it by department line.
Yeah.
And I try not to float it from one department to the other, so yeah. And sorry, Counselor Slager, you had something about ball diamonds and the $5,000?
Yeah, if you go down, for number, the next number, or the next item, or,
What page is it, Thomas?
It's on
Right.
page 16.
yeah, that's it. It's in there.
Okay,
So there is $5,000 that was allotted in the O&M budget for maintenance of the ball diamonds.
So the adjustment.
okay, sounds good.
And we have done some work on some of the dugout stuff. So anyways, we'll talk about that coming up, so.
Okay, we're kind of all over the place, not really, but
okay.
getting where Danita's coming from and maybe some clarification. Okay, so we can move along to, we'll just combine solid waste and utilities if that's okay, or we'll go to solid waste. So any questions for solid
I
waste?
don't have any questions for solid waste, but just a comment that I heard that the mail out was really awesome.
It was,
Yeah.
I agree.
Thanks to them for doing that.
And I will make a comment about solid waste, though, your worship. We were, beyond ecstatic that we were able to secure, and council did agree to it, that we secured Scrappy Larry to actually get the metal out of the landfill that hasn't been taken out of there for as long as I've been in town.
Yeah.
And he may be slow, but he's making progress.
So does it just, do you take it from the dump to his property? Is that just-
Actually, no, he's actually cubing it.
That's what I thought.
No, he's actually cubing it and putting it on trucks.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
going. So,
Sorry about that.
so, yeah, it's, I'm beyond, it's made a huge difference in the landfill. And Wayne out there is doing a remarkable job in the key drive in the landfill. It's not what it used to be, so.
Cool.
That's awesome.
It's good.
Okay. Good to hear. Glad the mail out was awesome. Exemplify that. I appreciate that a lot. The last department report was utilities.
I just had a comment about the fourth little subparagraph under the goals and notable projects, where they said we're working on getting approval for a third hand within the utilities department so we can conduct proper flushing schedules and leak detection. I just want to know where the monies for that will come from, because I addressed this when I was voted down about that flusher truck, whatever that was. That truck was like $700,000 and then plus 100 whatever for another person to work there. I just feel like we're well over the 75, whatever it was, to pay somebody from the private sector to flush the lines and solve things.
Well, I can tell you that the third hand position's always been budgeted for in that department. And
It
has,
says specifically for flushing.
yeah, it's worded wrong.
I think what you're talking about is opening the hydrants versus.
Well, that's, yeah, and that flushing is flushing of water lines as well, hydrants and everything. But that third position has always been budgeted for in that position, and we've had been staffed. Up until a year ago, when I terminated that position from that person from that position. And it's always been, it's a training position that we're moving forward on. And I can inform you that flushing, that piece of equipment, the hydrovac truck has saved us immensely because there is no longer that capability in town. There's no private business in town that has that piece of equipment to do that work for us. And we've been doing all our digs. We did it again today on Tesla Crescent. That truck did it.
Well, and after your big flood
Yeah.
of 23, every single sewer has lost their frostbite, their frost cover, and they're all plugging up their sewer lines, and without that, somebody would have been in that hole digging sewer out of there.
Well, we wouldn't have been, we would have hired a truck to come from my horse at $600 an hour, so.
Okay.
I do have a question or comment about that,
Yeah.
not about the flusher truck, but just in regards to the water line digs and stuff. The spots where that has happened have left these huge sores in the road that are quite gnarly. And I know that maybe it's just a matter of calling the town to like put something in there, but is there any, a little bit, like I know we're gonna redo the roads eventually, but I'm just wondering if it's gonna be a few years before we actually resurface those roads. Is there any slightly longer term solution to stuff like that? Cause
They're bad.
and the one around the hospital seems to be not so bad now, so I don't know what they did there, that seems to work, but
But
it
I-
gets bad every once in a while, though, there's quite a few on Ravenhill that are.
Well, unfortunately, it's based on the amount of rain we've had recently, so we haven't been able to, as fast as they've been filling them in. The only other option for us is to bring in more cold mix at the $16,000 for a semi-load to try and do those
How
patches.
long does that last us usually?
Well, it depends on how wet the year is and everything. It's a crapshoot. As you see, all the roads that we're potholing right now, that's gold mix. So, and unfortunately, there's no chip crew that we can actually bring down right now to do anything, right? So it's that double-edged sword.
Are they going to do? Like, how much does it cost to do a 3-foot piece? I'm just wondering, because if they're gonna actually do every section to completion every time, then by rights, they're gonna be doing Tintina. This,
No.
this little snow.
No.
Next spring,
They'll do Tintina will get done at the same time they do Adele and Frank. So, yeah. So, but
I just thought it would be a
we're-
big deal to just like do
Yeah.
the shitty pieces.
Yeah, and it's like the
They are.
little sections here.
So I would just say, we're not talking anything about utilities.
Sorry,
Yeah.
So do you guys wanna
Okay.
talk about roads or do you wanna talk about utilities?
I was gonna talk about roads.
Okay, well, we can bring that up in council open forum, but we're getting way off topic. We still got half our council meeting to go
Thank you.
through.
Move on.
Okay. If everybody's okay with that? Sorry.
I just had a question about the crosswalks, just like, did all of them get removed out of every, like, just for that problem doesn't happen again?
yeah, so our utility staff is going around manhole to manhole to confirm that the frost plugs are where they're supposed to
Cause
be.
it's a devastating thing, and they all guaranteed they're all, because they're old, I don't know how old those are, but. The one that we looked at was pretty destroyed.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So I.
Okay, so we made it through all the departments from Q2 department reports. Do we do a motion to approve those or? Yeah, a motion to accept the department.
Motion to accept the departmental reports.
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Henshaw. Thank you, Counselor Burtis. And we'll move along to number 8, which is the admin report for pickup truck tender. I will read the administration report. It was prepared by Tiffany Lind. The report date was August 15th. The subject is fleet truck tender. It's a capital purchase. To seek approval of a proposal received for the supply of one fleet pickup truck. Recommendation, council approve the proposed submitted by Whitehorse Motors from the purchase of one new pickup truck. Secondary recommendation is council not approved. Financial implications, council approved a budget of $70,000 in the 2023 capital budget. For the purchase of a fleet vehicle, the proposal received from Whitehorse Motors came in at $68,500.63, not including GST, for the supply of one new pickup truck. This falls under council's strategic priority of community development and governance. The background, administration made the recommendation to council to complete a 3-year fleet vehicle replacement plan. Due to the age and condition of several fleet vehicles, the replacement plan would save in O&M costs and help improve health and safety of our employees. The pickup truck will be the 5th and final fleet replacement identified in the 3-year replacement plan. So with that, proposed decision / motion, any questions, comments?
Just where's that truck going?
So that's going to operations, so Glenn will drive it most of the time, but it'll be the pool vehicle to go into departments. It's replacing that 2011 that's on its last leg right now. We looked at other options, SUVs and everything, but then the problem was, where do you move it when you need to replace another pickup truck?
Yeah, like, yeah.
And I can also tell you, your worship, that this truck will be 2 years newer than the last one we added, because the rest of the COVID thing. But this one came in just over $1,000 cheaper than the last one.
That's for sure.
Price is actually going down, so.
And just,
Still nothing to get excited about. It's
No, but it's a loss, it's again, this year, Whitehorse Motors are the only ones that they submitted.
and the only other thing I had was, because the, fire chief pickup truck, isn't that pretty old? And, you know, like, I know, like, if this is the last one, I know that one has to be replaced.
And that was the fire chief's truck wasn't really part of the fleet plan, because it
Okay.
falls under emergency, so
Okay.
it's just not.
Okay.
And it's actually already in your next year's budget stuff. that-
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the proposal submitted by Whitehorse Motors.
Thank you, Councillor Slager.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Any more questions, comments?
No.
Carried. All in favor? You're all in favor.
Aye.
All right, number 9. We had some correspondence from Miss Levante. I feel like I should probably read this
Read
one.
them out loud, please, for the record,
Sure.
verbatim.
Oh. Are you ready? All right, so the first letter I have regarding the ball diamond is word on the street is Towel needs a request letterman to maintain their own assets, despite having a full assets review booklet done by a third party in their possession. So here it is. Dear Mayor and Council, can you put aside funding to fix the baseball diamond? It's a safety hazard. 25 to 30 of us would like to play softball twice a week safely in our community, where we pay the highest taxes in the territory. Thank you so much for your consideration. Private citizens, we don't have a softball league to write a letter because all of our volunteers are burned out. Oh no, burned TF out. Aaron Levante. I recognize that I live and work on traditional territory to the Cascadena within the boundaries of the Liard First Nation. Comments, questions? I'll read the next one. The softball diamond in town is in bad shape. I have compiled a list of steps the town must take to get the ball diamond back in shape to host tournaments and play weekly. The entire community has wanted a tournament happening back in here since COVID. Unfortunately, the field has degraded to a point where it is unsafe to play and would be a huge liability to invite any other teams to play on. I have also included the Softball Canada official website, which outlines very clearly what is required on a safe regulation ball diamond. Do I need to read these out? Okay. The infield is overgrown with weeds. There's no keeping up to them. The best thing to do at the end of the season would be to put a huge black tarp or piece of poly over the infield to kill all the weeds. So we don't have to dig it out and drown it in expensive pesticides. All of this info is online, and consider we had almost 40 people playing at the beginning of the season. It should be a priority for this community to make sure our infrastructure is safe, first and foremost, especially when there are so many adults and kids showing up to play. Interests have waned over the season, but what came first? The turds in the outhouse floor, or the lack of interest in playing ball on a field that's unsafe with grass too long to play on. It took an incredible and free turf maintenance course this summer for the golf course that was also offered to communities. I highly recommend signing your park staff up next year. It's through the Yukon Golf Association. Derek Worth, Dawson and Farrell both attended, and I think there's a lot of knowledge that could be useful to the town. I look forward to a written response from council outlining how updated the ball diamond, how updating the ball diamond will be included in their upcoming budget. I recognize that I live and work on the traditional territory of the Cascadena and within the boundaries of the Liard First Nation. Questions, comments, discussion?
We do have $5,000 budgeted towards that.
Yeah.
So. Would you basically aerate the fields perhaps?
Yeah.
If the 40 members each pick 2 beads on their way out on the very first day, the problem could be solved.
I think, I don't know how much more comments everybody has, but I really feel like the tone at which we're receiving this letter is just disrespectful.
People don't write letters because they're happy.
No, but I know that, Thomas, but there's a
There's
proper way
I'm
to
not
address
happy
this.
about it either, but generally speaking, people don't sit down and put pen and paper when they're cheerful,
No,
letting us know, great guys, you're doing a great excellent job. We don't
no,
get that as
but
much as we should.
do you think that's satisfactory?
If,
I'll get it. Okay, I won't go.
aside from the tone, the topic is still the same.
Sure. It is, and we have money in the budget to deal with it. It's an administrative issue. It's not much that we can do at this point.
Oh, yeah, and all we can say is, well, look, we've got some money here and
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know what you can do.
Can we ask admin to look into
That list of
options
things,
for them,
see,
the list of things and what
and
makes
what that
sense?
would cost or
What it costs.
whatever, or if we have time, like, I don't know.
There's also, from what I understand, there's also some funding, things like through Field of Dreams and stuff like that, that I don't know if it's something that recreation can look at applying to or admin. For extra money. And then the other thing is, and I'm just saying this on the side because, just doing a little, research my own self. Kind of, so in Whitehorse, there's only, 2 fields that have grass. The rest are all dirt. A certain kind of dirt, specific, to baseball diamonds, I don't know what it's called, but it's all dirt. And like pretty much all of them, or like a certain type of baseball
Grass
gravel.
or-
I'm just saying that's pretty low maintenance, other than you have to drag it or whatever. So I don't know if that's something we can look into. Obviously, it's not gonna look as nice as grass, but if the whole issue is grass maintenance, I don't know if
It's not
that's,
grass.
I know that. I mean, but I'm just saying, that seems to be a pretty big component of this,
Yeah,
whatever. Anyway, I'm just throwing it out there.
Maybe cheaper.
Maybe, I'd be the first to admit, to say that I don't know really what I'm talking about when it comes to baseball fields. But I'm just saying that that's what they're doing,
But we could.
so,
that's what they're doing elsewhere.
so
All
I'll
the fields,
just,
there's only 2 that have grass.
I'll just ask for some direction from council specifically as to how we address this situation.
Cleaning out houses a little more often, so some paper.
Do we want to make a motion? Do we want to write a letter in response? Do we want to address
Thank you for bringing
administration?
this to our attention,
Okay,
We'll have administration look into,
okay.
keeping the houses. Or
We will look into it and okay, so I will respond to Ms. Labonte
we allocated $5,000 in our previous budget to address these issues.
and administration will be,
We'll be able to.
We haven't had our budget
accomplish
meeting yet,
1 year.
Okay.
But there is money available and we're doing our best.
to move forward.
Within staffing restraints, because we're down staffing.
There is that too.
For sure, and there's not a lot of time this year to be able to work on it, so maybe we have 5,000 this year, if we put another 5,000 next year, we don't actually address the issues till next year. maybe they'll have more money to be able to do what Lauren's saying, you know, like get rid of the grass and.
No, I'm not, that's not, I'm not recommending that, I'm just saying that that's what they do other places to cut down on maintenance.
That's what I just said, potentially. You know, so there are options, that it gives us more options if we have money, and maybe next year we'll have more staffing complement.
Because we also did, if you recall, make some changes to, there was rock that was in the back, there was really awful to walk on, and you twist your ankle, and we fixed that problem, that's the original problem was there.
So to wrap this up, we're gonna send a letter to Ms. Levante addressing the letter. And we are going to ask administration to look into the ball diamond, and budget season's coming up, so make sure we pay attention to the ball diamond, okay?
Yeah.
When we can, admin will bring back forth some other options for the ball
And I
diamond.
can inform council, your worship, that since this letter was written, our staff has leveled the infield and done all that with
Okay.
concerns that were raised. And even since that's been done, no one has played ball, and it's been 6 weeks now.
You could have led with that.
Okay, so there we go, okay, moving on. Everybody happy?
I'm happy.
I do have, sorry, one last comment. Has the author ever approached you about any of these issues ever before sending this letter?
Never.
Thanks.
Okay, number 10. We have another letter from Ms. Levante. Would you like me to read this one too? It's pleasant. This is the letter I sent to Community Services regarding the lots on Francis Ave. Please forward the letter to council and include this part in the next meeting. Very disappointed with how the lot development on Francis was handled, and cannot believe we need to tell our own councillors that clear cutting is bad. At least, if no one buys them, we will have a driving range, but consider we really need homes for families in our community. I hope council will consider putting forward a bylaw that prohibits clear cutting in the future. We are not an industry town, we are a community, where people have lived for generations, where we want more people to put down roots and live. Where their kids come back and be doctors and nurses. We need to create a community that people want to come back to, and yes, that includes what it looks like and feels like. The clear cutting and leveling of Francis Ave added an easy 10,000 to a price of every lot. It's absolutely unnecessary to clear cut when clearing the street and infrastructure right of ways would do. This was a very disappointing end to a long-awaited project, and I hope it's not an indicator of how projects in Watson are being overseen in Watson Lake. Should I read the rest?
No.
No, it's good.
Maybe.
I can't imagine what in the world would make your department, this is what Councillor or Ms. Levante wrote to Community Services. I can't imagine what in the world would make your department think that clear cutting Francis Avenue and leveling it would be a good idea. Your employees organize cutting down every tree on the street, including on the lots that are about to be sold. Maybe that's standard practice in Whitehorse, which I can't even understand there, but it makes absolutely no sense in Watson Lake. Who in their right mind wants to buy a $50,000 clear-cut gravel lot on the backside of Watson Lake next to a swamp that needs all those trees for drainage? Imagine how much less those lots would have been sold for had you just surveyed them and sold them. Who's going to buy them at that price, especially now when you have to spend thousands landscaping in a community with no landscaper or nursery, or live in a gravel lot under the willow until the willows grow back? Watson Lake doesn't have a lot of things, but we have an abundance of people who run chainsaw. YTG has centralized every good paying job that they can do. I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this really doesn't even involve us. I mean, this is Francis Ave clearing, which is a YG project. It's definitely unfortunate at the way that it has to be done. Administration will tell you again and again that this has to be done. It's the way it needs to be done in order to sell those lots, to prepare them with services. End of story. It's really. Yeah, and she was part of council. She well knew the whole thing, the whole step. She was here for the whole thing and a strong advocate for more lots. So
If you had to mold and demo for every single lot, the cost would skyrocket. This was the most cost effective solution. I think we should ensure.
it really,
The record, so.
I mean,
that means-
to Boston response.
he wouldn't even give one.
And you can see, your worship, in your packages, I did provide the elevation site plan.
Yeah.
That was approved by council, the previous council. And on there, there's nasty ravines that are over 50 feet deep. Running across it. If it wasn't for leveling, there would only be 6 lots in that whole subdivision that wouldn't have to be leveled. And how do you start filling in one lot when it's 50 feet deep on both sides of your lot? And then bring it up, you have a 10-foot wide lot at the top by the time it's done, right?
I gotta say, like, it is kind of unfortunate that it's the way that it has to be done. I agree, because I've had this complaint from several people in the community, and it sucks. It's an eyesore. It's not pretty, but the ultimate goal is to have it look nice, and hopefully people can landscape. It's not gonna happen tomorrow, but hopefully that it will happen, you know,
Looks rough right now,
it does look
sure, but I mean, it's still in the process of being landscaped appropriately.
that's right.
and People can buy a lot, so.
And your worship, in the zoning bylaw that council did approve, there is there for landscaping in the, on. in
It
the
also
zoning
says
bylaw.
where possible, the trees should be spared, trees and shrubbery should be spared.
Yeah.
It does say that in there.
Yeah, but unfortunately, when you look at the elevation, and there was no way for that to be possible on this.
My question is also, where are those figures coming from when the tenders haven't even gone out?
Sorry, which.
The numbers that she was throwing around in there about as far as cost and whatnot. I'm just wondering what that's based on, because like we haven't even been told that. We've been told nothing official.
Yeah.
And yeah, the tenders haven't even gone out, so there's no way of even knowing that. And the goal, from what my understanding of the whole process is that ideally we would also get country residential lots opened up, which I realize might be a pipe dream after how long it took to get this going, but to get those country residential lots developed as well, to try and offset the cost of those. So like, I feel like the pricing is so far away that I like to know where those like site resources, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think it's a moot point for us here in council. I
Yeah.
mean, we really have no say in that. I mean, we can definitely think about it in the future, you know, something we've learned from, because we don't love it, but you know, that's all we can do. Does anybody disagree? Does anybody want to address this with a letter?
Well, it's a letter that she sent elsewhere. So
Yeah.
I think she's waiting for.
So do we have to respond to it?
It's not probably the zoning bylaw.
Okay. Okay, good. So we'll move along. Whew. All right. Number 11, bylaw 2023-07, being a bylaw to amend the official community plan. Bylaw 21-10, the old Hardy property on the Alaska Highway. Questions, comments?
Sorry, what property is it?
It's the old Hardy property on the Alaska Highway.
What's that, sorry?
Right at the bottom of the hill and you go left, so it's underneath, it's down below NES.
So there used to be no mill there, right?
It's farm.
Yeah, okay, but it wasn't mill, right? Yeah, that's right, okay.
It's a farm at this point, right? And it's zoned residential?
Rural residential.
So is it not zoned agricultural?
Is that a committee?
No.
It's not a committee of the whole, so.
Nobody.
But I
No,
already
it's
kicked
not.
Billy ran away because I wouldn't let him talk,
You haven't
so.
read the thing out yet.
Do you want me to read the administrative?
Okay,
Okay, let me read that. Sorry, Patty, he got me a little worked up, so I have to go by the rules of what it is. So let me just pull up the admin report for it, and I'll give you a few more details. The official community plan, okay, to provide council with an administrative recommendation on the proposed amendment to the official community plan. The preferred recommendation is council amend the official community plan from unserviced residential to an industrial lot. The strategic priority for this is, this bylaw amendment would be in line with council's strategic priority of supporting economic development in the community, as it would allow the property owner to pursue future industrial endeavors on the property. This property was purchased by ALX Explorations or Levick Holdings in 2022 with hopes of expanding their operations into Watson Lake in anticipation of proposed mining projects starting in surrounding areas. In order to do so, they were advised by the bylaw officer that they would need to apply to have the property rezoned from rural residential to industrial M2, with the first step being to apply for the amendment of the OCP. Does that help you at all, Patty? What do you need, Patty? What do you need for question, answer? What do you need for? What were you gonna ask?
Sorry, you giving me the information.
Okay. Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. Is there any more details that administration could add to this?
No, your worship, I just, ALX is looking to expand and bring jobs and economic diversity to the community, so it would be more taxpayers, more jobs and actually more taxes into the municipalities.
What is, oh, I'm sorry, what types of things will they be doing
So
there?
it would be stockpiling, expediting, that type of stuff. The plan is not to do like manufacturing or anything.
What's M2?
What's that?
What's M2,
M2 is heavy industrial.
which includes,
Here, I will read it to you.
sorry,
So,
No, it's good because.
so
I can hear a refresher.
M2 is principal uses, any principal use permitted in M1. Bulk storage of oil, gas, petroleum, products, propane, butane, that type of stuff. Concrete or asphalt plant, depots for maintenance, yards, workshops, garages of public works and similar government agencies. Heavy equipment storage, lodging facility, so that's the APCO count type stuff the council approved. Manufacturing and sale of construction or building materials, metal and plumbing workshop, transportation terminals, including heliports and expediting bases. Such other uses similar nature that council might approve. And then there's a whole bunch of conditional uses which aren't questioned, but I can also tell you what M1 carries caretakers, residence, commercial storage, electrical generating station, radio and telecommunications, heliport, light manufacturing, sale of automobile parts and accessories, trucking depots, vehicle repair and servicing, including body shops and warehousing.
So if it's zoned for M2, it would only be M2, not M1.
No, M2 includes what's allowed in M1.
Okay, so if you had like an R1 block, I guess you could throw a trailer in there if you really want to then.
For R1, like
Residential mobile home.
No, R1, just bear with me, I'll go back to it, what it's currently is agricultural minor impacts. Parks and playgrounds or single detached dwelling is all you're allowed.
That single detached dwelling could be a trailer.
No, because trailers don't fit under the dwelling definition, I believe.
Unless it had pads, cement pads, I believe.
Yeah, I
It
know.
doesn't matter. Anyway, I was just curious whether the M1 would fall under the M2 category.
Yeah, it does. It includes it.
Or in that instance. I'm in favor of approving bylaw 2023-7, and bylaw to amend the official community plan bylaw 20-10.
I have one more question, but that's okay.
Well, we have a motion on the table. You can still ask your question.
Right now.
Yeah.
I was just curious, because it doesn't actually say it in this timeline. So maybe it's not, but even if we were to pass the motion for the OCP amendment and then also the rezoning, does something like that still have to go to YESA? Just given, because isn't proximity to a river pretty close by?
But that wouldn't,
Is that not that spot?
No, there's nothing there that would cause,
What's that body of water on there?
oh, there's a little pond on that property. It was a gravel, it was a dugout or burrow pit when they moved gravel. So it's not a natural water source.
Just a whole-
Yeah.
Water.
The only part of that you were reading that I don't really like is the Atco camp situation. I don't want them to come in and set up a home for 30 or 40 guys so that they don't, you know. Like, I don't want them to be separating themselves from the community. If they're gonna be a part of the community, then they're gonna be part of the community.
Well, and
Yeah.
I guess in response to that, your worship, when council went through the zoning bylaw, council
Yeah.
decided that M2
Would be in
would be
Atco
the
camp.
only zones that there would be lots big enough to put ACO camps.
Yeah.
Right?
Cause it does say in their proposal that somewhere in there that they wanna use it like as a transition.
Staff housing.
Staff,
So,
yeah.
Provide temporary housing for workers.
What else you gonna do? There's nowhere else to live.
No, that's right, well, that's what I mean, like,
At this
that-
point in time,
Yeah.
there's the right, but once those spots come available, there is capacity then.
And given its proximity to our other commercial lots, which we have none for sale, I believe. Because they're all bought up, so there's not like you can go buy M two that exists
no,
already,
that's right,
because it doesn't exist.
no, that's right.
All right, so there's a motion on the table.
Also,
Thank you, Counselor Slager. Thank you, Counselor Burtis. Any more questions or comments?
Not really. I'm curious to see if anything comes up in the public hearing.
Okay, all in favor? Carry. This will be a long arduous process, because once we do the OCP, we gotta do.
it's very late out, so I believe, based on your decision tonight, your worship, that, the OCP is regulated, and I believe it's October.
On here, it says 3rd or 17th
Yes, that's correct.
for the public hearing. It says we have to take class.
Good. Okay.
Or, oh, sorry, I read that wrong. It says or other date of council's choosing.
Yeah,
I don't think it's for all of those dates, so I'm indifferent.
well, in your worship, it's very regulated, so I'll just have to confirm with Tiffany, but it's gotta be.
For OCP change.
It's, so, yeah, it's laid out in municipal law.
Okay, yeah. And they have to pay for the change charged.
They already paid,
Okay,
otherwise it wouldn't be on your agenda.
awesome. Okay,
Thanks.
great. Moving forward. I did an all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Actually, this already went out. Sorry, this one has all the.
Public notice on the OCP change.
I thought that was for the public hearing.
No, it's different.
Oh, sorry.
It's a variance. Isn't it?
No, it's just. To
Okay.
consider all verbal submissions to proposed amendment.
So number 12, we have an admin report from CAO Lockwood. Development approach for solid waste drop-off site capital project. Administration is requesting direction or decision on the appended development proposals for the development and construction of the solid waste drop-off facility capital project budgeted for 2023. There's 3 recommendations. So the first one is direct administration to enter contract negotiations with West Peak Developments for the construction of a solid waste drop-off facility. Further, number 2, to direct administration to make an application to the gas tax fund for approximately $330,000, and once approved, bring item back to council for budget amendment and final approval. Or 3, not to proceed with the project. Administration has received 2 quotes from West Peak Developments to complete this work. The quote number 1 with the concrete slab for $785,594.71 plus GST. And quote 2 is the without concrete slab. So $749,244 plus GST. The initiative supports the delivery of services in the area of waste management and disposal. Waste management and disposal is a legislation function of the town of Watson Lake and a core service we provide to our residents. The solid waste drop-off site project has been on the town's capital plan for approximately 3 years. When this project was originally scoped by Morrison Hirschfield in 2020, the estimated cost to construct was at $283,000. Then revised the following year to $440,000. The town has made extraordinary efforts to tender this work through competitive processes twice. Both procurements were unsuccessful in meeting the town's budget for this project, with a low bid of approximately $1.1 million in the last tender request. Elevator Yukon and West Peak Developments approached the town of Watson Lake to discuss this project and have been working diligently to provide the town with the lowest upfront cost to construct this project. Given our two unsuccessful procurements and current environment of inflationary pressures, administration feels this is a fair price to deliver the specific work, and we believe the longer we wait, costs will only increase for this project.
How much, oh, sorry, you finished.
Yeah, there's only a couple.
How much will it cost to get concrete, or is it something can we do that ourselves? Or how much will it cost to get the concrete slab done by a separate contractor?
Well, it's 40,000. Based on their quotes, it's only about $40,000 difference in between.
But that's from them.
That's from them, but if we're doing the concrete slabs, and I haven't been able to get anybody local to do it or bid on it. It would really throw the whole project timeline out of skew, because then you got two competing contractors trying to work around each other.
And what was the price on concrete? We looked at it.
750
Yeah.
a meter.
And then I guess my second question is, or irrespective of that or whatever, the schedule, the timeline, so it says that they would start October 2023 until the weather stopped them, and then they would start again in the spring, and I'm just wondering, with like a half completed project, what does that mean for the operations of the landfill over the winter?
It would not affect the operations of landfill. And my last conversation with them is that they would actually be able to mobilize down here in September and start working. They're currently on a project.
In a week.
Yeah, well, I said in September.
Oh, okay.
They're currently just finishing up a project in Beaver Creek, so.
And then I suppose my last question is, where is the money for all of this coming from? If we originally budgeted about 280, whatever, and then it was 400, and it was all gas tax?
Yeah, it's all gas tax.
And we
And this,
can-
yeah, and to further that, where it says under recommendation number 2, the original 400,000 was in original gas tax, slotted in gas tax in last year's budget. So actually the ask going to gas tax would be for the full amount, your worship. And currently we have somewhere around the vicinity of $10.5 million.
That was my next question, how much we have in there currently, so it's not like it's really gonna like wipe this out or whatever.
It's a service, it's an added service.
I love the service, I'm all for that, I just wanna know, like, what benefits with concrete, I just, the concrete, not concrete, what's the?
It would make maintenance so much easier for our staff. Because you know, if stuff falls off when it's being thrown in, then it's on a dirt surface. And the roll-off bins themselves, if it's rainy, mucky, could actually sink into the ground.
Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I misunderstood that, when it said with or without concrete, I didn't think it was an option to have it without, that's why I thought if they were not gonna do the concrete, that we would obviously have to get the concrete
Yeah.
somewhere else, I didn't realize it
No,
was
it's-
have
yeah.
the dirt, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Make a motion to approve quote number 1 with the concrete slab for $785,594.71 from our gas tax. The development approach for the solid waste drop off site capital project.
I will second.
Counselor Slager, Counselor Burtis, and that's the recommendation number 2 for the with concrete slab, right?
With the concrete slab, so quote
Okay.
number 1, but recommendation number 2.
Okay,
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay, all in favor? Carried.
Thank you. Excited for that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Community lottery fund, I'll just read the whole thing. Funding recommendations as of August 23rd, special intake. The meeting date was August 17th, 2023 at 6 p.m. at the town office. Tiffany Lund, Jean McLean, Kendra Hodson, Mairead Hodson, and Counselor Slager. We're all there. There were 3 applications, 4 applications.
6 in total, one was withdrawn.
Okay, you want to recap everything, Counselor Slager?
Here's the gist of it is.
Sure.
As you can read, there's some of the seniors put in a bid for a little over $7,000. We felt that this was our very first intake of the financial year, so we're only approving the maximum $4,000 for each approved project was kind of in order. If there's money left over at the end of the fiscal year, in that case, we would consider going over the $4,000 as per the lotteries,
Policy.
okay, that's what Rosenberg. And so the seniors received $4,000, the Watson Ski Club received $4,000. The Watson Disc Golf received $4,000. Minor hockey received $1,000, mostly because in the communities bylaw it covers things like food and travel, but it doesn't cover wages and rents. So like the curling association couldn't apply to this to offset their costs, their members for ice time. And that's part of the actual lottery's application. So there's some discussion about because it's determined for there's rent versus wages, sorry, I should say. And so there's that, and then the Lear Golf Association applied, but there was some further information that needed to come forward before a decision could be made, because A, of course, is currently non-existent, B, where and when it would happen and how. So there was more questions that need to be answered on this being the first intake, because golfing is very quickly winding down. We felt that it could happen at a later date once these questions were clarified.
Sorry.
And out of the 28,000, we spent 15,000, there's remaining 15,191. I reminded them that the girls and boys volleyball team had never applied for this. And they usually always fundraise and attend the Divot volleyball tournament in Dawson City. And this could go a long ways to kind of like, hey, there's other people that might be interested in this pot of money. That was just and as an aside, that conversations that place to be.
So for the people that like applied for more than the maximum $4,000 and there's 1,000 whatever left over, would they have to like reapply for that
Chunk, yes.
extra $1,000 at the next intake, or does that happen automatically?
Okay, so we would take their existing applications, probably contact them and say, hey, there's still money on the table, would you be interested in it? They would probably have to reapply as well.
When's that second intake?
That's December, and then we have another one. Oh, yes, it's just before the March.
It's February special intake.
Yeah, there's a special intake there as well. And yes, sorry, the other thing to consider too in this is groups that have never received funding, and they can go back by years. Let's say the ski club every year gets $4,000 for no reason. Yeah. And then you have a new group shows up that says, hey, we need some money too, and they both fit the criteria. The way that our policy is structured is youth get first dibs, followed by seniors, followed by everyone else. And if you've tapped into that pot of money already in that fiscal year, or in past years, it kind of plays into the committee's decision. And they're currently short 2 members, and Kelly Smith has stated an interest in returning to the committee. And we're still looking for one more member, but she hasn't written the committee yet, so.
And your worship, any of those appointments have to be done with council.
Okay.
But so could we put Kelly Smith's name forward at this meeting, or would it have to be on an agenda item?
No, it could be done this week if council's
in favor of it at this point in time?
As I would like to make a motion to accept Kelly Smith to the.
Rec advisory committee,
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Counselor Slager, Counselor Hanchar. All in favor?
And your worship.
So were you getting at, sorry, were you getting at that, so if somebody new applies for that funding? They almost get, it's like depending, but they almost get the first dibs sort of thing, because somebody's been
It's
applying
sort of
for it
higher.
for like 10 years and been getting it, but somebody new wants to try to.
Yeah.
Start something else, they sort of get. Like
Priority.
a little bit of a head, like
Yes.
that sort of.
Yeah.
This is okay,
To make it fair.
that's right, no, that's right.
Previously, when I know my kids have applied, it's been like, well, you can only apply once kind of thing within that year is how it was. And so we were declined because we had already received the money and there was other people there. Because I noticed that often it's all the same groups that are applying all the time.
But
And
also.
getting money all the time, so it's nice to refreshing to hear that. People that haven't applied get first dibs kind of thing, because like when Lauren's asking about if other people don't get that extra $1,000 or $2,000 that they've been declined on, they can then apply for it again in hopes that they'll get it, kind of thing. It just seems like I said, there's a lot of people that apply all the time and are always getting money.
There's also startup groups, and then there's need at least 3 members to qualify as a team. And.
So like the volleyball team and just go
Yes.
on, like that, like, or any kind of sports.
But it can't be used for like ribbons or trophies.
No, but like travel maybe.
Travel and food are the 2 things that would fall under that.
Hotel, like that kind of stuff.
The intakes are advertised.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Okay, no, that's it.
I will make a motion to approve the funding recommendations from the West Lake Recreation Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Counselor Asher. Thank you, Counselor Burtis. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that,
Thank you, Counselor Slager, for being part of that. Sounds like you're very involved and you definitely have a good grasp of what's going on. It's great. Thank you. Counselor Open Forum, any questions? Sure.
I know because the grabs have been tasked with doing a dinner September 28th and 29th for 400 people, they estimate. Do we even have 400 plates and enough cutlery to accommodate that?
I would honestly have to confirm that, Counselor Slager. We have an order outstanding for dishes and stuff.
Could you let me know just in case, so I can bring paper plates as a last resort?
Okay, so what date was that, please?
September 28th and 29th is the dinner dates. There's September.
September 28th.
They said they booked the kitchen already, like Elephant has booked, not Elephant, Laws. Has booked the kitchen for that week already, they claim.
What's it for, Counselor Slager?
It's for the crow and wolf potlatch, so there's a crow potlatch one night. That typically the wolves are there, and then it's the other way around the other night, except for. I qualify for both. And because I'm neither. If that makes sense.
Sure.
I don't understand.
Okay, that's right. So you,
I'm not a crow and I'm not a wolf, so I can serve both.
400.
okay, well, that sounds exciting. That's a big group of people.
I don't even know if we can fit that many people in there.
Well, our capacity is actually, because I'm working on it on the kitchen renovation stuff. Our capacity is just shy of 500.
Okay. Good to know. So, yes, my grads are going to get
I'm going
a
this way.
selling announcement next this week.
Yeah, just wait. Counselor Paquette, any questions for Counselor?
I don't have any questions, I more just wanna thank the town of Boston Lake employees, I think they've done a great job this summer of. Keeping, the boulevards really clean and, they trimmed the trees down, I think the town just looked really good, the flowers looked really good this year, I don't know where hanging baskets come from, but they were. But yeah, they.
So not the hanging baskets.
Not the hanging-
Okay.
Not part.
Okay.
Not that that's something bad, but I don't think
Okay.
it's for the town.
Okay.
I just feel like the town just looked really good, and I just wanna recognize the staff, people are on holidays, so obviously we're always working short staffed in the summer, and I think that everybody did a good job.
Great, thanks, Counselor Paquette. It's great. Counselor Burtis, no questions. Okay, Counselor Hanchar.
First of all, I said my main councillor from Forum piece earlier when Sergeant was here. I guess I do want to make sure that everyone's in favor of declaring a state of health and safety emergency. And arranging that meeting, public meeting, make sure that everybody was in agreement with the things that I said, and if there's anything that you wanted to add to that.
I'm in favor of the public meeting, and I don't know if it is a state of emergency.
No, it's not the same emergency, health and safety emergency, I misspoke.
Okay,
Yeah,
so in that case, yeah,
specific to this one issue.
yes, I'm in favor.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I think it's great,
Okay.
and we'll put some real effort into making sure we will probably have to book a significant space for that, maybe like the Mez or something like that. And prepare an agenda. And make sure we have Zoom, might have to be the curling.
I guess I'm in favor of that as well. The only thing that I would recommend is that there is somebody that is a moderator,
Yeah.
because, and that we have a clear vision and a clear what our mandate is.
We're gonna have an agenda and we are gonna have a moderator.
Because I know I attended that meeting and there was a lot of community members that were just sort of, it was all over the
It
place.
was disorganized, which makes them
Very passionate about what they wanted to say, and people tripping on top of other people and whatever, and it just, you know, there needs to be some structure.
Absolutely.
So,
Agreed.
Could almost be, yeah, okay. We'll work on that hard actually, because we need somebody that's gonna really take charge of that situation, and we'll try and prepare an appropriate agenda with like clear direction. You know, and try and keep within the communication, like
And-
topics.
And depending on which room we're using, I mean, and I don't know how many people are expecting, but it'd almost be nice to have a mic. Because I feel like then if there's somebody else over
Yeah.
here, they, you know, the person who is trying, since they're trying to speak, can actually be heard by
Yeah.
people who are there.
Okay.
And especially if we're considering maybe doing a Zoom element or whatever.
Okay,
The next item I have is with the flags outside. I don't know how often we replace those. I feel like we see it in the budget every year, and I don't know if we just replace some. But they are, and maybe it's just the weather this year, every single one of them is absolute tatters right now, so we should just take them down right now. They look absolutely horrendous. That was just something that I noticed, like some of them are missing, like they've just blown away. It's been so crazy.
Also counts for Slaver's one-time cost, Salt Lake Solutions community beautification along that main alley that does not cost. That year after year, can I say it one more time?
My next item
yeah,
is, my next item is, where the heck did I see it? Oh, in the payables, sorry, just going back to it for a second. I saw something, anyway. To Giesler, are we still paying rent for at Bill Farrell?
That's different, that's the cold storage building that we're paying rent on.
Oh, okay, and we'll always be, is that
It's the next building.
the next one over, but it's still, and we're always gonna be,
As far as I can forecast right now, yes.
that's, okay, I guess I thought that eventually, because we didn't have any of our services over there, that eventually it would all go to the old public works building. Where we wouldn't have to like pay
Well,
so much,
it's spaced,
and is that per month?
no, that's 6 months,
Oh, okay, I mean,
6 or might even be a year, if any of you dealt with Joe and his billing, it's.
okay, I just wanted to ask that, I meant to ask that when we were talking about payables, but I
Yes.
just. I forgot.
No, it's, I knew and I've been clear about that all along, it was fire hall public works and that stuff wasn't part of the discussion.
Okay, and then my last thing is about, and I don't know if this is possible or if this is gonna be really annoying or whatever, but I'm wondering if when we're going through the budget process, if there's a way to get a list of all the things that we approved in past capital budgets that have not been purchased yet, that we're still kind of either hanging on to money for, or that have been delayed, or I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's that new budget.
just stuff that maybe that we approved a long time ago that maybe these guys weren't even here for.
Yeah.
Just those types of things, so that when we're looking at the capital budget, we can kind of have
Yeah.
a picture of like where that stuff came from, and just so we know what's still coming, because I think when we're looking at this year and then the next 5, we forget about all this stuff that was happening in the 3 years previous, that then comes up in a meeting later on. And we're like, oh, this was approved in your 2022 capital budget. I'm like, okay, well, it's almost 2024 now, so I was just wondering if it's possible to get something like that.
Yeah, so your
Even for
worship,
myself, even being there, I just like don't remember a lot of it.
yeah, so your worship, Shannon and I met over the last 2 weeks and we've started going through that list. Just to confirm what's out there. Some stuff's delayed because of projects starts and not finished, and it's just, as like the lighting at the rec center, the change rooms, all those things have been so drug out. So yeah, so her and I are sitting down when she gets back next week, and that's the plan. We've already been working on it, but to actually go through line by line. Cause there is stuff that we know that won't get purchased because it's not applicable now from old budgets. And if it was anything that was gas tax related, those have mandatory under the PSAB have to be rolled over to next. If we don't spend it this year, it's gotta go before council for approval next year. So the only things that would be carried over are the stuff that's coming out of our own reserves or our own cash.
Yeah, and thanks, and it's not my intent to like cause you a bunch of extra work, I just think it would be useful when we're.
Halfway through a year of budget.
Well, and I mean, we're going to the budget, budget time again, I just think it would be kind of like a useful thing if you guys are already in there, like looking at that kind of stuff, like.
No, and I want a clear picture for council going into this budget year because things have changed, right? Because the new accounting standards under federally, we've got asset retirement obligations and all those things now we have to account for. So you're gonna see more and more stuff based off our asset management plan than we've ever done in the past. Because any place that's got asbestos or oil or those things have to be in our budget stuff. So it's really gonna change the way stuff's dealt with.
And I guess, sorry, just one last thing, that you just reminded me, something you said, remind me this, I don't know why, but. I remember hearing at AYC a couple of weeks ago that, there are gonna be fall, meetings with a minister. Have we heard from him at all? It's in late August, September. Was the time frame that I was.
Actually, Riel is on, your worship, and he could probably
That's
answer
Yeah.
the question for us.
Do you know, Priya? Hi.
Hi there, sir. The question was, when is the minister available?
I was just curious if, like, is he doing the community tour that he usually does in the fall? I just remember hearing at AYC that, it would be late August, September, that he was gonna be, or reaching out meetings with the municipalities.
Yeah, that's right. So we've already had our first community tour to Mayo and Carcross, and we're looking at dates for September now, into the 3rd week, I believe. And so we're liaising with Cam on that.
Okay,
Good.
thanks.
Thanks, Riel.
I guess that's all for me, and then of course, we're all going to AYC in a week or so, and then we'll have something to report back after that.
Not all of us, sorry.
Sorry, the 3 of us. No. Sorry, Nina, myself and Cam will be going.
I'm not going.
Sorry, I missed
Councilor
that.
Slager, you were going to tell us what your permanent plan for beautification and the ditches.
Oh, yes, on some sites, and I've said this before, that to have something similar to Chetna, they have the carvings as you go through town, we have the signpost forests, it's our organically grown tourist attraction, we have the Kit Kat bar, now if you have those posts, there's, if you go over and walk through the signpost forest right now, there's very little space to put them, we need to figure out a creative solution to make room for more signs. One of those things would be to have them on the side of the road. You don't have to water a sign. You just have to put the hole in the ground. And then, the signs will just grow organically. Maybe put a few signs up to start so people know that that's what that's for. But I guarantee you in a couple of years, it would be the highlight, the centerpiece as you go into town towards Wet'suck, and perhaps I'll have to campaign on it now that I got streetlights.
As long as they don't put any in those trees in the over there.
Well, you wouldn't put it in such a way that it would obstruct your view at a stop sign.
No, I just mean if people are like, oh, we're sticking on these posts, we're also gonna put it on these trees that have been growing very nicely in the ditches for how long, I just would hate to see something like that happen because they're beautiful.
They look really nice.
Yeah, they are.
And
Was there something else, Councilor Slater?
Yeah.
Was there something else? Cause that's just,
Yeah.
I don't wanna get on a big long rant
No,
about
no, that's still-
potentially putting posts in the ditches right now.
It was just a reminder.
I know, I think that it's not a horrible idea, but there would have to be a lot of discussion about it.
Yeah, it's an idea. Anyway, the other thing I want to say is congratulations on getting the scrap metal being hauled out. That's a big deal. And the 5 successful digs that we've done are placing our water lines. Saving us money on the water treatment plants. Bylaws are doing awesome. We're short caretakers. We're still getting that done and still making time for each family to take turns and go and have some sort of holidays this summer. So for that, I commend administration and all people from town boss like.
Yeah, that was great.
Just one, if you allow me, worship,
Yeah.
to follow up the highway signage thing. Click them ahead.
Yeah,
Department of Highways Engineering that goes with the project for the street lighting to past 2 mile. We're down, the engineers and the consultants are down, you walk, the 3 of us walk. down. No, not 2 mile.
Oh.
Anyways, in the rain,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but as part of the project, it's, their project is the safety at the intersections as well. So they're working on, flow coming off the highway, and walking paths along to go from, crosswalk to crosswalk to crosswalk. So, and their plan is to actually, bring in, like they did in Whitehorse, where they got the 6-foot wide asphalt walking paths. So that was all part of that funding application that we helped co-write with them. And so that's what they're working towards, a plan on pedestrian corridors and intersection safety improvements.
cool.
So that'll be next year's stuff,
Okay,
but anyways, that's coming as well.
okay. I just reiterate Discovery Days. I felt like it was a really nice day. I know that the attendance wasn't huge, but I think Melanie did an amazing job at planning it and having everybody really delegated to what they needed to do. It was super impressive. And the band was amazing. I've listened to it from my couch, but it was really good. I would like to I don't want to have a huge, long discussion about it, but I do agree with the road situation and digging up all of all the broken pipes. Like there is pothole out, like there's little sections of road missing everywhere. And if we want to wait for that infrastructure project to be done, we'll just might as well rip them up.
Just
and
rip 'em
wait.
all up.
We'll rip them up and
For
wait till that happens, but I do believe we need to can really work on something to deal with that, like. There's just too many of them. It's just getting to be a bit of a eyesore, and if we're gonna wait, so like I said that. And also, I saw a comment on Facebook regarding the parks and that horse. I will bring up the horse across in Highland Park. Did you see it? Someone had it, it's locked in a place, and it's pretty ugly looking and kind
Is
of
it like a
dangerous
hazard?
looking, yeah, it's in the park. Across from my dad's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways.
Nobody phoned the town office.
No, okay, so anyways, I just saw it and it was on Facebook Messenger actually. Yeah, it's ugly. Anyways, I know for a fact that if you were to dig that horse up and put it on live auction and make sure you address a few specific people, that people will buy that horse. I'll help you with that. The Lang family expressed interest. The Nixon family expressed interest. There was a couple other families, so. It is, it's a nostalgic old horse. That's really
shocked that it's.
Auction.
Yeah. It would be. And then to carry over with that, we need to consider some addressing our parks, our residential parks. And that's, I'm gonna leave it at that. Anything else?
Make a motion to. Unless there's anything in camera.
There is not. Councillor Slager, Councillor Burtis. All in favor? Adjourned.